Looking back to 1951, Fender's story is just beginning. Fender's marketing guru, Don Randall, thinks Fender should worry about Gibson's stunning new Les Paul Gold Top.
Leo, look at this guitar. It's pretty, it's elegant, it's expensive, it's got this beautiful gold finish. Suddenly, our Telecaster looks rather plain. It does look kind of planky. Well, for the people who played them, this is what we love about them. But compared to the Les Paul, Mr. Randall felt we need a line and we need to upgrade and we need the more expensive. We need a Cadillac.
The result? The most influential solid body guitar ever made, the Stratocaster. The Stratocaster rewrites the rules on what an electric guitar can be.
How do you go from a Telecaster to a Stratocaster? The basic shape of the instruments is pretty much the same. Where it changed was the issues with the Telecaster being basically a square-cut instrument. When players would play, at the time, they would sit down, or even if they stood up or had it on a strap, you could see this area here, their arms would rub against it. And a lot of these guys, you know, after all, drinking a lot of beer, and they had these nice guts, and the guitar would kind of chafe, especially under hot, sweaty lights. So you've got the cutaway on this side. Another issue was with the Telecaster, if a player wanted to play up high here, that this area, this piece of meat here, would kind of be in the way. So one of the first things that was done in the creation of the Stratocaster was to remove that piece, allowing the player's hand to naturally find its way into these higher registers. You have this elbow cut, which allows for a really comfortable feeling where your hand would lay right in the exact spot. And the tummy cut that would allow the guitar to feel really a part of your body. It's one of the great things about the Strat. Whether you're slinging it low or wearing it high or even sitting down, it really feels like a prosthetic device. It's not an instrument. The next change between the two guitars is that in the Telecaster you've got 2 pickups, and on the Strat you've got 3 pickups. You've got a rhythm pickup, a lead pickup, and a pickup in the middle. The rhythm pickup has a much bassier sound. The lead pickup has a very trebly sound, and of course the middle pickup is somewhere in between. In my opinion, the crowning glory of the Stratocaster, though, is this very simple bridge and tremolo unit. The 6 bridge pieces held in place by a row of screws and counterbalanced with a row of springs. You've got these springs pulling the bridge in one direction, and on the top you've got strings pulling it in another direction. And the whole thing rocks on these very simple wood screws. Unlike previous vibrato bars or tremolo bars, this perfect equilibrium made the Strat vibrato come back in tune every time. It was easy to use, and the simplicity itself, pure Leo Fender.
But even with its sleek body and high-tech hardware, the Stratocaster wasn't going to sell itself. It needed some clever promotion and a modern edge. While Gibson brochures pictured conservative-looking musicians like Les Paul in a suit, Fender pictured surfers, fighter pilots, and babes in bikinis with their guitars. The advent of television brings electric guitars to the masses. Suddenly, everyone hears and sees this new invention with all its cool electronics. Thousands buy the new guitars. As generations of players push the limits of their instruments, the focus shifts from guitar makers to guitar players. And for the guitar hero, plugging in means changing history. Eric Clapton is the most revered and imitated guitarist of his generation. In 1963, Clapton leads the British blues invasion, updating the sound of the earliest bluesmen with a faster pace and a whole lot of volume. While inventors like Leo Fender treat amplifier distortion as a major technical problem, everyday players crank up their amps as their creative solution.
I'm going to attempt to take you through some of these things and show you how they were intended to be used, and of course what happened when the nefarious guitar players got their hands on them. So here we have this beautiful little Champion 600 amp and our Fender Princeton lap steel. That's certainly the sound that Leo had in mind when he made these things. But being the guitar players that we are, we just couldn't leave it alone. Picked up our Stratocaster guitars, turned them on 10, and lo and behold,
Pushed beyond their design limits, the components in the amplifier give up and distort the sound.
so, louder is better. The next step, used as intended, it was a jazz country amp. Never leaving it alone. It also sounds really good when you nail it. Again, unintended. Leo Fender's rolling over in his grave right now. We have a super reverb amp and the voice of surf, the Fender Jaguar. Cranked up is really a thing of beauty. Around 1975, a gentleman named Randy Smith perfected the master volume control in guitar amplifiers, allowing guitarists to get the sound of these amps distorted at lower volumes. Well, lower volume, what's lower volumes? Who wants lower volumes in any way? So the Fender Supersonic is the ultimate master volume, insane amplifier.
The guitar's evolution takes a path of its own. With the Fender and Gibson designs of the 1950s, the building blocks for the modern electric guitar are in place and remain virtually unchanged.
So by now, the electric guitar has pretty much grown up into what it's going to be. And there were a lot of guys that could really play it, too. Then they started coming up with these things that we call pedals, which are add-on devices. Sound comes down out of the guitar through the wire, goes into the pedal, then onto the amplifier. And the pedal itself affects the sound, gives you different kind of sounds. One of the first ones was echo. Without, there it is with it. Then they came up with the wah-wah pedal, which was very popular. But the one that really set everybody free, gave everybody that ability to sort of make it their own personal statement, really expand what they were doing, was distortion. It's fun, huh?